Welcome to episode 316 of the Whatnauts review show, where every week we pick a story and we talk about it. This could be a movie, a TV series, an anime, a comic book, an audio drama, all kinds of entertainment. We watch it, read it, or listen to it, and then we come back here and talk about it. My name is Melissa Wilkinson, and I am joined, as always, by Kyle Springer.
I'm just sometimes I'm not as funny as I want to be. I was hoping to have some kind of like real annoying thing that I could do immediately off the bat here, but I panicked and now I'm floundering. So that's where I'm at.
Kyle, you own a hot dog costume.
I do. I actually thought about that as we were watching the show that we'll be covering today.
You're
I don't know why I didn't have that.
Than you think you are.
I shouldn't doubt my abilities.
The hot dog was inside you all along.
Good stuff. Melissa, how are you? How's your week been? Your weekend? I guess we're at the start of the week here. We're recording this on a Monday night.
Yesterday, I went to go see a memorial showing of Batman Forever in memory of Val Kilmer. Which was a lovely experience. I'd never gotten to see that one in theaters when I was a kid. Even if, as dumb and corny as it is, there's still enough, like, flash in it. It's really fun to see on the big screen, to just see the Batmobile driving towards you, to hear those motors. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good stuff. I went to go see Sinners. So
good.
Not the same campiness that Batman Forever is, but a real good movie. I had a blast with that
film of the year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was really good. But that's kind of what I've been up to. We're just expecting some big storms out here in Oklahoma tonight or tomorrow, as the weather is still kind of going up and down here at the end of tornado season.
We're fully in the spring wiggle where it's getting warmer, but not on one consistent trajectory. And there'll be one big nasty storm that'll rain so much that it will cool it down like 30 degrees. And then it'll be back up again. And then you have the hot air and the cold air together. And that's when you get a tornado.
Indeed. Well, speaking of tornadoes and things just kind of taken over, we're here to talk about a comedy sketch show over on Netflix called I Think You Should Leave. Melissa, what is your experience with this show? How did you hear about it? Why did you want to bring it on the show here?
I started watching this when it first came on Netflix in like 2021. This show's a few years old. And when the show came out, you and I had already been doing this show together for several years. We started this in 2018. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I thought, we cover a wide variety of mediums and genres of entertainment. I'd love to talk about a sketch show, something that kind of breaks the usual format of a traditional narrative.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be an interesting discussion? And now, years later, I finally made us get around to watching it. I watched like 2 episodes of the show and then put it on a shelf, the shelf labeled to do on review show. And everybody else watched the show and quoted the show and was obsessed with the show. And I'm like, when we cover it on the podcast, I'll get to it. And I'm like, what have I been waiting for? This is such an easy breezy fun time.
Yeah. I had always heard about this show. I'm not super into watching like stand-up comedy or sketch comedy shows. It's just not my go-to. But I had always heard really good things about this one. I think it took the world by storm when it first came out. People were talking about it in a way that I don't think I've really seen people talk about other sketch comedy shows. Like it had a certain just like zeitgeist. Like it was the thing that people were watching and talking about in a way that I hadn't really seen before with this type of show. Of course, big long running sketch comedy stuff like Saturday Night Live or stuff like
Mhm.
that stuff is always out there, kind of
Yeah.
always being talked about, but not like here's 6 episodes on Netflix and that's all we have for right now, right? Um, so yeah, this was an interesting one for me because I also heard about like what the show was doing and like how much of the show was planned out versus how much is this like him with the camera just going up to
Oh,
people
oh,
and stuff like that.
you mean
This is
planned
just
out
what
as
I
in scripted?
heard, not
Okay.
not not scripted
You
per se, but like
I you talked about the show being planned out the way people talked about the lore on Lost.
no,
Like,
no,
do
no,
they
no, no,
really know
no, no,
what the
no,
polar bear
no.
is
That's
doing?
that's
I
not
it
what
is
I'm talking about,
not
and that's not what
I
I heard.
I believe it is largely scripted as opposed to improvised.
Which is interesting because that's not really what I remember the conversation being. I
Mm.
remember the conversation kind of being around. I mean, like the name implies, I think you should leave. There's this idea of him trying to get people to get so uncomfortable that they leave or they break character or stuff like
Oh.
that. Even
Oh,
when I look this up on Google, the like thing on the side underneath where it says like you can watch the show here on Netflix or stuff like that, it has the IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes stuff. Let me see if I can actually bring this up on screen for everyone. There's a little like blurb on the side
mm.
here of what the show is about, and it says it's actor Tim Robinson stars in this sketch comedy series, which he also co-created, that sees him trying to get people to go away. Period. Like
Weird.
end of
That's
sentence.
I I
And
was surprised at what you said because it's completely wrong, and then you cited a source directly that I see with my own eyes, and it is
right,
also wrong.
yeah, and like I
Because
don't.
that is not what the show is.
Yeah, so I'm a little confused, but like that was the conversation I was hearing back then when it first started. Is like how much of that is true though? Like how much is he really trying to get people to actually leave? How much are they in the know that like this is the skit that he'll be doing versus like oh it's like you're here for some improv but we're not going to tell you exactly what it is, or here is the skit, play along please, right? So I don't know, I don't have a definitive answer on that, but that's what I
I
remember the early
I
conversation on the show being.
That's very strange because what you described sounds like a completely different show, and this is not it. This is fully sketch, fully
Yeah,
written out. Maybe there's some ad libs here and there, but this is not a hidden camera prank show. This is not
right.
a test. This is not some sort of comedian danger room where you have to dare someone to survive. And I looked it up. The show season 1 premiered in 2019. What I must be remembering is when season 2 was released in 2021. And
Like for COVID, yeah.
I can easily see why the thing hit in 2021 at season 2. Not necessarily because of a increase in quality of the show, but post lockdown, when people returned to social engagements after social engagements had been disappeared completely or had vastly slowed or had become extremely different, like now me and my friend are at opposite ends of our backyard and we can't be any closer to each other than that, and we just yell at each other across the backyard. Returning to a new normal of social interaction, so many people felt awkward, and that's entirely what the show is about.
Or just
Its
needed,
ethos.
like after you've watched all 12 seasons of Law and Order or how many you've gotten into, right? You just need something dumb, some absurd
I
shit
Yes,
that's just like
right.
I just want
It
to
is
laugh at
deeply
stupid.
it's very stupid, it's very silly, but it's only in one avenue. It's entirely about interpersonal dynamics. There's no political satire, there's no pop culture spoof. The closest things we get are like reality dating shows, sketches,
Hmm.
and commercials where somebody's like, "Has that ever happened to you?" They are only doing a parody of things that are, in their way, conversations where
Yeah.
somebody is overreacting or underreacting. That's all this show is. It is all Tim Robinson or one of the other actors on the show getting into a social situation where either they say way too much and have no filter, or there's some very easy, recognizable, relatable truth that they just refuse to say.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a interesting one for sure because, like I said, I'm not super into the whole sketch comedy type of show. So in that sense, this show wasn't really for me. And but that's also not to say that I didn't have a good time or I didn't get some good laughs out of this. But there were also some skits that just didn't really hit for me.
I
But that's kind of par for the course, I imagine, for sketch
yes, I
comedy stuff. Like, not
I
everything's
also
gonna hit.
I also don't watch a terrible amount of sketch comedy for I know so little about Saturday Night Live. I think that is the one area of pop culture where I do only know the bare minimum and I've never gone deep on it.
Yeah.
I've just seen a handful of sketches posted to YouTube here and there from all number of shows. This must be the first one I've ever watched in its entirety that was more than just a one season oddity. And I think that is truly par for the course. I don't think any sketch show has an excessively high hit rate. I don't know. Even like Key and Peele, which people speak of very highly and still
Hmm.
reference often, I don't know episode by episode what the hit rate of all of the sketches per episode were.
Right. Right. Yeah. Um, but yeah, so we watched all three seasons of I
Mhm,
Think You Should Leave, a total of 18 episodes. They're all about
mhm.
17 to 20 minutes long. Excuse me. So yeah, it's not it's a super easy breezy show to watch. I would recommend it if you have not watched it yet and you are into comedy stuff, or if you want something that's just kind of absurd, just to laugh at some dumb stupid thing, which is kind of what we wanted to do here this
Yes,
month on the
yes.
podcast, is like, let's just watch dumb stuff. um
Right. So far this year, we'd covered largely dramatic material, and we wanted an April packed full of nothing with jokes. A
yeah,
truly
and
foolish April.
that's also kind of what we tend to do on the show anyway, is we focus on crime and sci-fi and comics and, right, all sorts of stuff that tend to be on the more serious side. It
I
is a little harder to do comedy, especially with these sketch comedy shows, right? Like you said, there's no central narrative that's pushing it
mhm.
along, and so
Right.
we kind of tended to avoid it a little bit.
Which is
So
why
this is
I
an
had
interesting one.
saved which is why I had saved this one. I'm like, "This is
Yeah,
a format we've never covered before. Let's give it a shot." And I think there
yeah.
is enough here for us to have an interesting discussion that isn't just, "Remember that one?" So funny.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. um Cool. Do you have any other things you kind of want to add? I kind of mentioned the premise when I read off that thing, but it's also not that, because every
Well,
sketch is a new
yes,
thing, right? So funny man does funny things. That's what this
right.
show is.
It's all of the sketches, like I said, are interpersonal dynamics where something has gone wrong. Either somebody has said too much or is saying too little.
Or the
And
wrong
maybe
thing.
in
Yeah.
the back, right, or in the back of the head, somebody in the room is thinking, "Oh, I wish this person would just leave." But it's never literally that. It's not like a game show where you're
Right.
the first person to declare First person to make somebody else declare that they think you should leave, you win $1 million and a new car, the new Honda Accord.
And then what's the mascot dude comes out and breaks
The
something
metal
on
man
the
climbs up the wall.
anyways. Right, yeah. Anyways, cool. Yeah, we will take a quick break for some housekeeping right now, and when we come back, we'll get into spoilers. This is another weird one to say that we're getting
We're
spoilers
gonna get
onto.
into punchlines?
Right? Yeah, we'll just get into the show a little bit deeper than we have been right now. So, yeah, we will be right back. Thank you so much for checking out this podcast. We hope you're enjoying it. If you didn't know, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and a lot of hard work goes into making them, so we would love it if you check them all out. But none of this is possible without your support. Head over to patreon.com/thewhatnauts, and you can get access to over 40 hours of exclusive content, including our Patreon first podcast, The Pilots Club, when you sign up at our $3 tier. Of course, there is a free version of the Pilots Club available, but episodes are exclusive to our Patreon for 2 years before they hit the free feeds. If you're interested in buying merch, we have shirts, hoodies, mugs, and more for sale over at thewhatnauts.com/store. Another great way to help us out is by subscribing and leaving a nice rating and review on your podcasting app of choice. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for video versions of the show, trailer reactions, and live streams. And lastly, you can always find out more information about the shows we make on our website, thewhatnauts.com. All right, we are back. Once again, a big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. We love you a lot. Thank you so much. It means a ton. Let's see, over on the Pilots Club, last month we got to talk about The Killing. In the month of May coming up here, we are talking about The Mystery Files of Shelby Woo, an old Nickelodeon show that I do not remember. I have no recollection of this show. So Melissa has introduced this one to me for the first time.
And I only have like 12% memory of the show. This will be interesting.
Yeah. Then over on the free version of the Pilots Club, last month we released our episode on Bob Patterson. And coming up here in May, we are releasing our episode on Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. Really, really great cartoon that I highly recommend everyone go check out. Right here on the review show, last episode, we covered a modern B-movie classic. I am now dubbing this one. It was called I Was a Teenage Wereskunk. This is one that my partner and I watched a while back, and we just had a blast. We had a great time that when we were like, let's just do dumb stuff on the podcast. We were like, I know the movie we can watch. Here we go. So yeah, had a great time with that one. Go check it out. Maybe our performance of the year in that movie.
So far,
we'll see. We still have,
difficult
I guess, over half. But yeah, it's
gonna
be a tough
Joel
one to beat.
Kinnaman. You're not even in the top 3 anymore.
Right? Yeah, go back to space, Joel Kinnaman.
Go back to space. Go die on Mars.
Over on the Captain's Log, let's see, we got to catch up on a bunch of pop culture. But Melissa, you also challenged us to have 4 corners to our podcast. We often have a cinema corner, but that's it. We just have one corner, and so we had to come up with 4 other corners to talk about. So we had our very first F1 corner. We had a Star Wars corner. And so we had our general pop culture lightning round corner, which is, I guess, something we already kind of do over there, but we dubbed it a corner. So there you go. We had some good fun times over there on the Captain's Log. Um, Last but not least, over on the Reactor Core, we just released our episode on Yellow Jackets Season 3. We did a spoiler cast for that. Finally got to catch up on that and discuss some of the crazy stuff that's been happening over there on that show. It's always been one of my favorites, so please go check that one out as well. But yeah, that is about it for housekeeping right now. I guess the last thing I will say, hopefully you guys didn't notice, but our website went down over the weekend because I updated something and it was too much of an update. I had to update the PHP on our website, but there's multiple options of what you update it to, and the like more recent or like higher number ones, I guess don't work with our website or like are more experimental or something like that. I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. So I had to like, I updated it and then had to like roll it back, but not to the same. It was still an update, but not to like, I don't know. Thing was dumb. It's all good now. Our website is back up there and running.
Thank goodness you take care of this and not me. I just put on some lip gloss and show up.
So yeah, that is it for housekeeping right now. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into some spoilers. There you go. Melissa, I have to say, I did think this show started off really strong. The first skit that they do where he's like leaving this interview and tries to pull on the push door and just will not give up until he has like ripped it off its hinges. I just think it's just incredible. It's not even laugh out loud funny per se, but it's just so relatable to this idea. Like we've all done something embarrassing and tried to play it off, right? And this is taking that to the next level. It's not just playing it off. It's just like going full on Hulk and like ripping the door. Just standing there for 5 minutes trying to rip open this door. He almost does the crying scene from the end of Pearl, right, where he like
stares right
just
at the camera.
Yeah, just smiling, just like, I'm not gonna look away. I'm committed. I'm committed to the bit.
So happy I made you watch Pearl. That's really paid off in the long run.
That scene is so good. That end credits scene, amazing.
You're right in that this is all relatable. It's not so specifically relatable. You haven't been in the exact scenario that very rarely, if at all, for any of these things.
I think my favorite ones are the ones where it's like I've either been in a situation like that or I've been a bystander to a situation.
What have you witnessed? What is the most I think you should leave thing you have ever witnessed?
One of my other favorite, and again, it's one of those things like I know I've been in this scenario, I've witnessed it, but I don't have a specific moment where like, oh man, Jason really screwed himself on this one here. But like the idea of you're hanging out with a bunch of people and they're all being like, oh, have you seen this YouTube video? Have you seen this TikTok?
Yes.
So funny. And they're laughing at that. And you're over there in the corner or whoever it is, right? And they're just sitting there and they're like, I don't have any YouTube videos to share that I think is funny. Or like you try and no one thinks it's funny. And it's just like, this is so relatable. I love this.
This is the exact one I was going to bring up. That is such a specific angst.
Yeah.
That everybody has something funny to show off and you don't.
Yeah. Perfect.
Or like,
incredible.
For me, it's like the thing I want to show off is the thing all of us have already seen 10 times. Or it's like, well, it's not really like funny. It's like informative, but in a witty way.
Yeah, or like the
it's
older
mostly what I go to YouTube for.
the older version of this is like is the you had to be there kind of thing, right?
Mhm.
And you're the one who was not there, and it's like this isn't funny. I don't understand this. Why are you laughing?
Everybody else puts on something you can laugh at, and I only have stuff that you can go, "Interesting," at,
Hmm.
which is not the
Exactly.
same. No, but nobody
Right.
nobody passes the remote around for, "Hmm,
Right. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, funny. I get it.
did you know?" Fun fact, right? That's all I have.
God, yeah. Like the skits that were like that to me were the most funny. And then some of the ones I thought were also good were the ones that were just so absurd that it's like this wouldn't did like the buff baby competition, the buff boy. It's just like, what is this? This is so stupid. I love this.
Little buff boys.
But then there was the one that I referenced earlier about it was another game show and the
Right.
mascot kept coming out and like ends up smashing someone's laptop. I didn't really find that one funny at all. I was just like, huh, okay. I was the one then reacting to the guy who thought this video was funny, and I'm just like, all right,
Mhm.
cool, thanks, man, good
I
video.
For some of these, I think the bit is the absence of the bit. In this
Mm,
case, there's like a annoyed or it's not avoid the noid, it's like the whammy, the little
yeah, right,
whammy guy
yes.
from Pressure Luck. It's like, what if you had a little mascot character like that who comes out and ruins somebody's score in a game show, but the guy has no idea what he's supposed to do, and he's just like,
Just standing
ah.
there awkwardly.
And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, get out of the spotlight. You haven't earned the spotlight yet. You don't even know what you're doing.
Yeah, I like but like I think that is I guess a good thing about this, but might just be par for the course for these sketch shows, right? Where not everything is of that same type or of that same, like
Mhm.
they're not hitting on the same level of social anxiety that I
Mm,
have there or that someone else might have,
right.
right?
Or
And
it's
so they don't
still
always
off.
hit.
There's still a form of social anxiety, just maybe more industry specific. Maybe the social anxiety that somebody in show business would feel, or
Sure, yeah.
maybe the feeling, perhaps that's a feeling you and I will have if we ever watch the pilot to a game show and we're like, they do not have this game show figured out yet.
Yeah, that'd be an
I I
interesting one.
I do like how specific this show is, where it's like there's one dynamic we cover, or at least in terms of sketch at large. Like I said, there's not like, here's a joke about the last president's speech. Here's a Star Wars spoof. No, it's just people, everyday people talking to each other. And they only blow it
Yeah.
up as big as, what if you went to like the keynote speech at your company's annual conference retreat and it's the little buff boy contest? And they
See,
made you try to judge the little buff boy contest.
and like that is an interesting one because I was thinking about that in my head as you were saying that too. I like the absurdity of the little
Mm,
buff boy competition just because it's so dumb. It's so stupid. But then where I thought it was still good but less funny is the anxiety of, well, what if you're at some work thing like that or
mhm.
at some party, you're at someone's house and you get put in the spotlight for something like that, for something that makes you uncomfortable, of like, I don't want to judge little boys' bodies. That seems
Mhm.
icky. That seems not right.
Es es
Like
especially when they are all wearing identical muscle suits. Like, they don't look, one's not buffer than the other. They're all wearing the same muscle suit.
Right, but like it's the juxtaposition of like the
Yes.
absurdity and the very real, like, I don't want the teacher to call on me in school, even if I know the
Mm.
answer. I just like I don't want to speak. Like, no, leave me alone. This is uncomfortable. Um,
So some sketches are disgust based or fear based or anger based. There's one sketch where a guy is trying to leave a parking lot and there's a van in front of him that keeps stopping and starting and making weird half turns, and he yells out the window, "Don't you know how to drive?"
it's like,
And the guy
no.
in the van turns around and says, "No, what's happening?" It's like, "What, you don't know how to drive?" And he's like, "No, everybody knows how to do everything. Driving isn't the only thing." That's Did you relate to that, Kyle?
Yeah, yeah, I
Did you
knew
look at
this would come up. I knew
did you look
it.
Did you look at the man who can't drive and think that that's you? Does your hand hurt if you touch the steering?
Just like, oh no, man, my hands hurt.
Uh,
Ow!
the one I related to most, I man who can't drive cars, clearly you, tagged as Kyle. The one I think I am is in the Shark Tank parody where they're
Uh-huh.
introducing you to all of the sharks at the beginning, and it's like, "I built my business from the ground up. I have all of these successful deals." And the one woman says, "I'm not used to being rich yet, and I can't stop drinking wine."
Great. Love it. Yeah. Um yeah, because like that, like that is where I think the show does a really good job of giving you a great variety of these skits,
Mhm.
even if they are all kind of focusing on some kind of social anxiety in some way, shape, or form, right? They do more produced skits. They do skits that are like clearly they like are in this makeshift office in some, back lot somewhere, and it feels more like an improv thing. Even if it is scripted, it feels a little bit more like that. And then they also have these like weird commercials that they would do every so often,
Mhm.
which is like also at the start of like season 1, episode 1, they have that commercial of the lawyer who's like, have you ever had this happen to you where this happens, and he just goes on for like 5 minutes of like, and then this
Mhm.
happens, and then this happens, and it's like, this
Right,
is
and then you
this is
try and
good, I
jump with
like
them,
this.
and they're like, "Jumping is for us! Get off the couch! This is big boy jumping time!"
Like that stuff can be a lot of fun, and then it could kind of hit you with something that's maybe more serious, or not serious intentionally, but like I also there was a skit that I did not think was funny. It was also on a topic that is kind of a hard line to walk. It's that one where he like puts on the suit and is about to go walk around in the
Yes,
mall, and then he
yes,
stops,
yes.
and then he just gets suicidal all of a sudden, and it takes a left turn sharply. And suicide, like, obviously is something, not that you can't joke about it, but you have to be real
I
careful. And
it's
that one I
it's
didn't find funny, but
it's
I think my point is that like you can put something like that in there to give people some space, some juxtaposition, some variety. It is just an awkward situation to be in, right? Like the joke was not for him in this like really ugly, awful suit that he's in to go scare people in the mall. I think the joke is that he then stops, does nothing with that, and it's just a conversation between him and the guy he's on the like earpiece
mhm.
with, right? Who may or may not have known that that's where it was going, right? Um, I don't know, but like, yeah, like there's stuff like that I feel like is maybe on the more serious end, along with the back end of that buff boy competition of just like, man, this is uncomfortable. I don't want to be here. Uh, I don't want to do this. Uh,
Karl Havoc was my favorite of all the sketches.
You're gonna have
because
to
it is
remind me which one that
that's
is.
that's the one you're just talking about,
Okay.
where
Okay.
he's the within the sketch, Tim Robinson is playing an actor named Carmine Laguzio, who's going to transform into a character named Karl Havoc by putting on all these prosthetics. And it's for some prank show. And he's like, we're going to go to the mall. Carl's just going to be a lot. And he's going to like steal fry off your plate. He's going to talk too loud. We're just going to see what people do when they're confronted with Karl Havoc. And he's so psyched to get covered in like these disguise prosthetics so he doesn't look like himself. He looks like the thing you've seen 100 times in like from Jackass to Candid Camera, every kind of prank adjacent show. And it has gone overboard. The fact that he's sitting there in the chair, he must get covered in all this stuff. And
Mhm.
he walks into the mall, he walks to the food court, and that's when he's like, I can't, I refuse to move, I can't breathe.
It's like, it's
He
hot in
spent
here, man.
hours in the makeup chair, all of this money, and he's like, I'm going to tear the face off. And his producer in the earpiece is like, we spent all day on that. That's so much money. And he's like, you can't tear it off. And he says, I am telling you that I am. Producer
Yeah.
keeps to nudge him into like, come on, like, do what we said we'd do. Knock over a chair. And he says, what does that do for the greater good? For
Like
me, it's
that part of it is great, right? Where you are like, I don't think I've seen that or thought about that in the midst of a sketch show or prank show, right? In the like few episodes of like impractical jokers that I've seen when my
mhm.
dad had it on or something like that. Of like, what, like I've seen them laugh their way out of a skit where that's like, this is too much, I can't do this, it's funny, you're on Candid Camera, you're on this show, I can't, this is too right. But I haven't seen it just go in this downward depressive spiral, which is in and of itself kind of funny. But then once he gets to the like suicidal stuff, I'm like, all right, that's maybe a little much. But
I
like
I
I liked that first half.
I think all the time about the terrors of going through extensive prosthetics like that for film. And the fact that this happens all the time.
Yeah,
Actors you know or actors you don't are undergoing this constantly. And it always sounds like such a chore, not something between a chore and a nightmare. Sometimes it truly is a nightmare. You know, when Jim Carrey
a
played the
chore mare.
Grinch, he had to have a CIA operative experienced in torture come and talk to him and give him the training that agents receive to withstand torture just to put on the Grinch costume.
Wild. I
And
did not know that.
oh yeah. See, I think this is why this sketch worked for me because I think about stuff like
Mm,
that all the time. And to see this thing that we've heard of, or at least that nerds like me have heard of, being writ large and not even like we've seen people suffer for their art. This is somebody who's not doing art and is doing much less suffering and still like cannot even begin. Just fully stops, fully collapses. Not physically, but mentally and emotionally, like 12 feet away from beginning to do the thing he needs to do.
yeah,
And what he says is, I don't want to be around anymore, which opens up the existential question of, is around and alive the same? And I think there is some humorous absurdity in how abstract and unclear the language is. Like this man
sure.
is so at
Yeah,
the end of his rope, but like can't phrase it in any way that the person on the other end of the headpiece can do anything about. I for me the 0 to 60 nature of that, maybe 0 to negative 60, uh, is what I enjoyed.
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Something else that I thought as I was watching this show, which I don't think is a comparison that you are expecting, was this show reminded me of the work of Junji Ito.
Okay.
in
All
that
right, talk to me.
when I mean, so we've covered some like short stories of Junji Ito here on the podcast, but one thing that I've always described his style of horror as is taking something and just heightening it, just turning
Yeah.
the dial up to 11, if not past that, right? Like no one likes the smell of fish, right? But what if there was a whole manga about this town that just smelled like fish, and like what a horror that would be, right? And he has that manga, right?
Mhm.
But like people can get weirdly obsessive about stuff, but what if this whole town just got obsessed with this image of a spiral, and here's all the ways they got it right into
Mhm.
spirals, and like that's who's a maki, right? It's just
Mhm.
let's take this thing and heighten it, and that to me is what is happening in a lot of these skits, right? Of like,
Mhm.
let's take some kind of social anxiety and just heighten it. Like, let's just put it on the spot, or just make it that much more awkward, or let's commit to it that much, right? And yeah, I kind of like that about it, right? I liked this heightened sense of stuff. It's not just a depiction of social anxiety. It's a depiction that is so heightened and so much of a caricature that it becomes absurd. It becomes funny, almost in the opposite direction of where Junji Ito takes his stuff. Right? It's not necessarily terrifying, but it's comical.
Mhm.
Um, where it's like, no, I like these shirts. This is the only style of shirt I wear. Right?
This shirt costs $3,000 because the print is so intense.
Yeah, like I like skits like that because of how absurd they are, and it like we've all done that thing where we find a pair of jeans that we like, or a shirt that we like, and we're like, you know what, I'm gonna buy like two or three of these because I like them and I just want to wear them all the time, right? Like that's we've done that thing. Or you like a certain brand name and you're like, I'm only gonna wear shoes from Nike and that's it, right? And this takes that and just heightens it. Like he's using company money to fund his like obsession with this one fashion
Dan Flash.
brand. Yeah, and it's just the most like it's not even good fashion. It's just like these like obnoxiously patterned
You
shirts.
and you know that. You know the man who's like, the busier the shirt is, the better it must be.
Sure, right.
You've
Yeah.
seen it.
Yeah. And so like it's just really funny that they can take something like that and heighten it to an extent that it becomes comedy, right? Like
Mm.
it already kind of is. You already maybe point and laugh at some of those people. Maybe you are that person. Who knows? I certainly have a couple sweatshirts. I'm like, I liked this sweatshirt. I'm gonna get like three of them. Right, but there's just there's some way about how they are crafting these skits here that it's like this reminds me of Junji Ito.
I I can see what you're talking about. I thought of the Junji Ito comic where the family lives above the restaurant and all of the grease in
Yeah,
the air just like seeps up into their home and the girl's like, everything
just
I
these
touch is
greasy people.
greasy.
Yeah,
I can't breathe up here. And her brother gets so many pimples over his face on his face and he like taunts her with it and he leans over her and he just like squishes his cheeks and just all of this pus.
gross, so
It's
gross.
like it's
Oh,
like that line of absurd and scary. Nothing is scarier than the thing is almost so stupid it's not scary anymore. In that valley, that little uncanny valley,
yeah,
I do like when something explores that space,
yeah,
which this does in one sketch in particular, another one of my favorites. It starts off as a fairly typical infomercial for a little doggy door and Tim Robinson is talking
yeah,
about how, you put this doggy door on your door and your dog can come in and out, but it won't let in anything else. Like this one terrifying creature, and he describes this creature to you, and it's this like
It almost
stop
looks like, what's
motion.
his name? Dan Havoc, or whatever
Right,
his name
right.
is, but just
It looks
smaller.
like right, Karl Havoc if he were a character in
Karl
the
Havoc.
movie Mad God. This terrifying thing, and the guy in the infomercial is still like so I wasn't sleeping very well because my wife and I went to a wedding and a swing dancer dipped her upside down, and I haven't stopped thinking about that. Like, he's just been intimidated, emasculated, but in, like, the dumbest way possible.
Yeah.
No, your wife's not gonna leave you for a swing dancer who flipped her upside down. Stop thinking about it. But he can't stop thinking about it, and he lays awake at night, and because he's so sleep deprived, his, like, neighbors put, like, a silly Halloween mask on their pug, and the pug walked through the door, and they're like, "Ha, ha, ha, pranked you," and he's like, "I didn't know what I was looking at. I thought this was some sort of a hell beast. I was horrified." I'm like, "This thing lives with us here on Earth? So get the doggy door." And then things like that can't come through it. The fact
Yeah.
that that one takes a turn into horror, I really
It's
like.
horror in what he's saying, but then in what he's doing, it's not like, I hate to go back to this word absurd, but he's just so
Yeah,
calm. All he's doing is making
right.
faces. He's just like, huh? Like what is this? What am I looking at? I don't know. What is that? And he's just sitting there on his couch, like, not like terrified, jumping out of his seat, screaming
Right.
at this. Like, get
That's
away
right.
from me. He's just sitting there like, huh? What is this thing?
And it's something that's what I was trying to get at with describing the Karl Havoc sketch, that maybe that is one puzzle piece in a larger puzzle of Carmine Leguzio and the trials and tribulations and pressures of fame, where him being put in too many prosthetics is the straw that broke the camel's back. But we can't see that. We only see a straw, and we see a man have a single straw fall on him, and he is destroyed. He is decimated. He is near death. Uh, and it's something like that with this guy. Maybe there is a larger tapestry to his life, but all we see is my wife got flipped upside down by a swing dancer. Now I can't sleep. Think dogs are monsters.
On the flip side of that coin, though, we do get a skit about a wife that leaves her husband as they're on some like Vegas like magic show, and the husband gets called up as the volunteer, and the guy just starts making fun of him, like, oh, that suit must be new, right? Barely even fits you. Just like these like real benign
Mm.
poking fun at
Right,
you kind of
he
thing.
makes the audience volunteer do the trick wrong, and it's like, "Oh, it looks like this guy's a couple breadsticks short of a breadbasket." Like,
Right,
something
yeah.
really dumb like that, like, the thing you have seen happen 100 times in anything similar, but he goes home, yeah, and then his wife, like,
Wife's
won't
like,
talk to him, and she's like, "I
how
can't
can you
believe you let him
stand up for
emasculate."
yourself?
You're a coward.
Yeah.
Stay married for the sake of the children, but once they're graduated, I am divorcing you.
That's a great one. I liked that one too.
And I
Um,
liked the one that's, like, the opposite side of the coin from that, which is the one with Paul Walter Hauser, where
mm,
he's, like, at poker
he's like,
night with the
no, my
guys, and the
wife's
guys
good.
right, the guys are all, like, making these, again, very hackneyed, nearly benign rags on their wives, like, "This thing's better than my wife's cooking," and he makes some joke like that, and then you see him flash back to, like, his history with his wife and how she supported him when he was in a community play where some other guy kept taking all his lines. He's like, "I love my wife. My wife
Like,
is
no,
good."
man. Though that one is interesting to me too, because I have, like, that one is less so about social anxiety to me. I mean, I guess you could argue that, like, I want to fit in kind of thing. I want to be a
Mm.
part of the guys thing. So I make the same kind of jokes that they do. But to me, I have heard a lot of people, a lot of guys make fun of their wife, or like make these kinds of jokes about their wife, or these derogatory comments
I
about their wife, and are serious about it. Man, my wife's cooking sucks. Like, this marriage, so like, the old ball and chain, right? Like,
and and
and
and to be fair, I've heard it in all directions. I've heard
sure.
wives complain about their husbands. I've heard husbands complain about their husbands in
And
similar ways.
it's always struck me as so weird. And I know there are sometimes extenuating circumstances and stuff like that, but it always is just like, if you don't want to be there, leave.
Right.
Go. What do
What do
you?
you
Why? You're doing this to yourself right now.
Why subject me to this as a
Yeah.
passerby?
Yeah, which I, like I said, there's some caveats on that. So that is the thing that struck me about that one. So I like that they flipped it, of like, no, I love my wife. My wife is great. My wife is
Right,
supportive. I'm just like,
and,
yeah,
like,
man.
it's almost
Good for
like
you.
that's not the joke. The joke is the silliest illustration of how his wife is supportive,
Yeah.
which is that she sincerely supports him through the conflict of, "I'm playing gangster number 2 in a local community play, and gangster number 1 keeps stepping on all my lines and saying my lines, and I can't get to say any of my lines."
Oh man. Um, Let me ask you this. So we've kind of mentioned this idea of there's not a narrative through line in this, or in most sketch comedy stuff. How? I guess my question isn't necessarily how do you feel about that, but would you have? Were you expecting, or were you wanting certain sketches to come back, or characters to come back
I
down the
I
road?
think that is something that only really happens twice. The guy eating the hot dog out of his sleeve comes back once, and I think in the episode with the sketch about the Dan Flash shirts, later in that episode,
We
there's, like,
see
a
another
commercial for
mention
Dan
of
Flash,
Dan Flash. Yeah,
but that's and sometimes actors will play similar characters, like, I don't know if Sam Richardson is always playing the same game
game
show
host.
host
Yeah,
and event MC, but it's in the same lane. So I was surprised that this is a show that does not have characters. Whether it's not it might not be narrative characters, but, like, characters like, somebody on SNL who you return to, and it's like, "Oh, it's time for another, Stefan Presents the Nightclubs," or whatever.
sure.
Or
Yeah,
even something where it's the same style of sketch, like, we
I
did
mean,
East-West Bowl, now we're doing East-West Bowl 2,
I mean
the other division.
they do have a handful of the sketches that are the similar style of, like, here's the workplace conference room,
Yes, but
and it's the
not
employees sitting
they're
around there.
they're a similar style, but they're not part of the same not even narrative, but, like, template. Like, you would not say, "Oh, I like the X series of sketches,"
Yeah, right.
you
Yeah.
know?
Um,
And
I was kind of hoping for a little bit more of that, not by much, but just
mhm,
one or
a
two
little,
more
yeah.
other times, I think would have helped me to enjoy the show a little bit more. Because I did like the random interstitials of all these sketches and stuff like that
Mhm.
are fun. I just mean the variety of the sketches
Yeah, yeah.
themselves, but something to kind of tie it all together. I think even if it's not quote unquote like tying it together, just seeing a certain character come back, or like they did with the hot dog guy. Like, I liked that sketch. Like,
Mhm.
you can't move lunch. I'm about to have lunch. Like, we can't have a meeting right now. And so he's like hides his hot dog in his shirt and is like
Right. Which
trying to
is
eat his hot
an
dog.
example of, like, one of the ends of the spectrum that this thing is good at. It's either somebody who
Yeah,
gives you way too much information, or it's somebody like Hot Dog Guy, who could have just said, "Look, I'm starving. My body is really used to having lunch at the
I'll be
same
there
time
5
every
minutes
day.
late.
I
Yeah,
can't." Right, I'll be 5 minutes later. Can I just eat my lunch in the meeting? I'm paying attention. I'm listening to you. I'll speak up as soon as I'm done.
Yeah.
Said he's like, puts the hot dog up his sleeve like it's one of those knives the Assassin's Creed guys have.
Or
And he
like
just,
you're hiding like headphones it like up the sleeve of your
sure.
shirt to like lesson in school or something. Yeah.
It's deeply juvenile. And I don't know whose lunch is a hot dog. Like, the French style hot dog in a baguette, loose, no condiments.
He's raw dog in that on the hot dog there. But yeah, he like that character comes back in one of those infomercial style skits when they create the like hot dog vacuum to like if you're choking
Yeah.
on a hot dog, you could just stick this on your mouth and it'll suck the hot dog right out of you. Which is just some dumb skit, but I like that even if that is not the like the main theme of that season or something like that, it kind of helped to tie that season together or even that episode together, right, where the character came back. Whereas I feel like the first season, even though I liked a lot of those skits there, it just kind of ends, right? And it's like, all right, that's it, I guess. Moving on to season 2. Here we go.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that would have helped, but I think there's a fine line with that. You don't want that to happen too much because I think
Yeah.
this show is successful in how random it is, right?
And
In
how anonymous it is.
right, yeah,
How you could be in any one of these situations, or any one of these situations could be a horror story a friend tells you that they heard from some coworker. Like,
yeah.
these are urban legends of the lowest stakes imaginable. I heard my cousin went to a birthday party and the guy was so insistent that the birthday boy accept his gift that he ate the gift receipt and then the
Dude,
gift receipt killed him.
yeah, like how amazing would it be if like Stephen Yoon came back in? I don't think there's a season 4 coming out, but he comes back in season 4, and the sketch is then about, you ever been to a party and there's that one guy who insists on this one like rumor is true and no one believes him? Like, no, dude, it happened. I heard it, or
Yeah.
like it happened to me, and like he can't prove it, right? But it happened to him, and he's like, "Nah, man, my wife ate the receipt of this. They all died. Like everyone who ate a receipt, they all died." And everyone's like, "Sure, dude." What? He's like, "No, hey, I heard it. It happened." And like,
And if
like,
you say
right?
gift receipt in the mirror 5 times, he'll appear.
Right, like I like to me that would have been a funny skit of like what's up with that guy 3 years down the road.
Skits are for summer camp. What we're talking about is sketch.
Thank you, Melissa.
I think they get upset at that. I'm just telling you. You gotta respect the art form and the terminology. One character, if I had to pick somebody to come back,
Mhm.
there's the sketch where these group of friends are they're intending to do a um their friend drinks too much. What's the word? They're
The
gonna stop him.
intervention.
The intervention. They're trying to do an intervention, and this one woman's like, "We'll bring him over to my house. My house is already the party house. Like, he won't suspect anything." And then they get to her house, and it's all Garfield theme, and
Yeah.
that's all she wants to talk about is that she bought Jim Davis's house, and everything is Garfield, and it's like this Pee-wee's Playhouse Madland, but all Garfield. I'd I'd love a return to her. Maybe she meets her match. Who is
Right,
that
yeah.
person? What is
Yeah.
their house themed like?
Or like like she bought it fully furnished, but didn't they find out in that sketch that it was fake? Like it wasn't actually his house, it was some other guy. So what if she sells it and then fills it up with something else, or yeah, starts dating another guy and then like moves in with him and his whole house is like that, and she's like, I used to have a Garfield house.
Right, you have a Funky Winker Bean house? Or made to be. I
Yeah.
love the sketch where it's like a party and one girl has brought her like older boyfriend and they're playing charades and he keeps writing down the names of obscure jazz musicians like, no, he's king of this because this guy in 1956.
How come you don't know that? Everyone knows that. No one knows that.
I related to that.
Do you ever run across stuff like that when you host trivia and do all that stuff? Like some guy who thinks they know all of it, or if you've seen someone else host where like that is their method of asking questions. Like, guys, this is all too obscure stuff. Like, you might know this, but this is not for us.
Not exactly, but something like this happened to me once in 9th grade. I was in some 9th grade social studies class, and all our teacher says, she hands us all a note card, and she just says, write down the name of a character. And she doesn't say anything else, doesn't say what it's for. So I wrote down Hiro Nakamura, which was the guy from Heroes, the Japanese guy who could time travel.
Yeah.
Heroes was on TV. I really liked it. So that's the character I picked. And then what it turned out was you put all the cards into a hat and then you play the headband game. You like tape the card to your head.
What and character am I?
Like, yeah, the other classmate has to like prompt you into guessing who you are. And everybody else wrote down normal characters like Mario or Hello Kitty. And there was a girl who was mad at what I wrote. She's like, nobody knows who this is. I'm like, I didn't know what it was for. She didn't explain the game.
So, Melissa, you're the problem. All right. I see here.
I was the problem.
Yeah, great stuff. Another one that I really enjoyed for something that I think is actually really understated in the skit was the one where he goes on the haunted house tour and it's the adults tour, and so he's like, so like we can cuss, right? And he's in the host is like, yeah, we might say some. He's like, great. Horsecock, jizz, right? And he said, like, keeps saying stuff like, do the ghosts have big donkey dicks? And everyone is just like, what the hell, dude? Like, come on, you're ruining this. And eventually they kick him out. The thing that I thought was hilarious is when they finally kick him out, it's his grandma that comes to pick him up. And she's just like, you make any friends? And he's like, no. I loved that bit.
That's such a good tack. That is a sketch that could have ended minutes beforehand, but that is the perfect ending.
Yeah. Like some of these skits, like I don't think these skits go so far that they overstay their welcome, even though some are certainly flirting with that line. In particular, that one where he keeps saying these absurd things. But also, there's a number of these skits that could have ended so much quicker and would have been just equally as hilarious, especially this one. If he just like, so we can say whatever we like here on the tour, he's like, yeah, that'd be great. Jizz cut, right? Like that would, I would laugh out loud.
It could have been one Vine long. That's true.
Yes.
Some of these could be, there's an improv game where you do a scene in 3 minutes and then you have to do the same scene over, but you have 2 minutes or 90 seconds or a minute. And then it goes all the way down to 1 second, which is just everybody screaming a single keyword at the same time. You could reduce it down, boil it down to its essence like that. A sketch that I think goes long, not too long, but is notably longer than others. Is one set in an office where a guy comes out of the restroom and he has like 2 little water dots on his pants that looks like he didn't shake before he finished at the urinal, and he's like, "Oh, no, that's not what it is. It's like, it must be water droplets from the sink." And Tim Robinson, who always has some sort of a name. He's not himself, but the names are so anonymous and interchangeable. None of the names matter except for Carmine Laguzio. Like covers for him and says to his boss, like, "Oh, actually, that's a new form of pants. They're really trendy nowadays. They've got these like little wet looking spots on the crotch, but they're not wet. They're just printed on there. It's fashion. See, look at the website." And like over covers for something where like that water would have evaporated in 2 minutes. You could have
Yeah.
just walked back to your desk and there never would have been an issue. But so Tim Robinson covers for him with this elaborate lie and then turns to the guy with the wet pants and is like, "So since I use this website to cover for you, will you donate to the website? It's a free service. Imagine what you'd be without the website." And the guy's like, "I don't know. I mean, I didn't sign up for this. I'm fine."
Right.
And Tim Robinson will not stop harassing this guy. Like, "You looked at the website, you used it, you have to pay for it. It's a membership service. We're all members. We all spent thousands of dollars to support this website because it made it look like we didn't pee our pants." And at the end of the sketch, I don't even know what happened at the very end, but like Tim Robinson leaves the conversation with this guy, turns around, opens a door in the office, and it's just this mysterious all red room. He just walks into the red room.
Yeah.
That I like, which is something that is less conventional and funny of a button, like the grandma picking up the guy who won't stop swearing. It's just mysterious. Like,
Yeah.
it's just weird
Yep.
and not even like weird in a way. It's not like lol, so random weird, you know, the weird of our youths that
Yeah.
kids would quote and point at over and over
The
again
lulz,
until it lost all
LULZ.
meaning.
Yeah.
Right. It's not that. It's something else. It's just a
Yeah.
red room. It's something you can't quote, something you can't meme or put on a t-shirt, something else.
Right. I don't know. Yeah. Like I keep going back to talking about how impressed I am with the variety, because even as we speak about like the social anxiety, one thing that I think does not get talked about in a lot of these sketch comedy shows is the social anxiety of children and like what is going through their head. And I think they have a great skit with their Claire's skit with the like piercing video, the like the young girl who's about to get her ears pierced for the first time. Her mom takes her to Claire's. They have this like introductory video to be like, here's some testimonials. It's all okay. Like, you don't need to be nervous.
Mhm.
You don't need to be scared. But like mixed in with that is this like older gentleman who's just like his version of the like, and it was okay is like not okay, and that seems to be the whole skit. And then the camera kind of zooms out a little bit and there's another guy watching the video, this like middle-aged guy, and he's like, come on, I've already seen this, get to like the stuff I haven't seen. What about the adults? Like what happens when I want my ears
No,
pierced, right?
no, so the little girl goes to watch the video, like, "Hey, we're gonna explain how the process works. You're gonna hear from other girls. Don't be scared before we pierce your ears at Claire's."
Yeah.
And the old man is in there saying things like, "It's barely about earrings. It's like, I miss my dad. I haven't been the same since my dad died. Sometimes I put my dad in jib jabs so he's alive."
It's this like
Jib jabs to my mom. She's confused. I'm like, "Mom, he's not alive." Like he
facing
is.
our own mortality in a Claire's introductory
I
video. There's that, but then there's that other guy who's heading
Yeah,
in the
but the
room
guy is like,
watching.
"I know that. I've heard all of this before. Stop the vid." He's acting like it's completely patronizing. Like he's watching a video that is only the stuff for kids and not the sad old man.
He's just like it almost feels like he watched part of it to get a piercing, even though I didn't notice if he had piercings in
He's
there
going
or
to get
not.
piercings.
Right, but like it feels like he'd seen part of it and then somehow got interrupted and couldn't watch the whole thing, and so now he's back for a second time to be like, I've seen this bit, like hurry up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, good stuff.
To talk about the anxiety of children in another way, there's the one where it's a house party and somebody brings out their new baby. And the baby's passed around and the baby is laughing. And then as soon as somebody hands Tim the baby starts crying. And Tim takes it personally. He's like, I think your baby knows I used to be a piece of shit. I'm not anymore. I'm better. I did better. I'm not a piece of shit, but I used to be. Your baby knows, and your baby's judging me. And he's angry, but also very scared. Like, do babies know good from bad? Can babies see into your true souls? Am I really going to be a piece of shit forever just because I used to be one?
Yeah, that's like, because I mean that is his anxiety, but it's coming out with this just weird scenario of like, do babies really know? Like, what do they know? Like, what can they
What do
tell?
kids know?
Right? Yeah. Do babies know? Which is really funny because there's like a little inside joke between me and my partner. We were looking at some card so we're looking to get like a birthday card or something. I don't know what, and we happened to see some card, and it was like a birthday card for babies. And I said something dumb like, "Why do they make birthday cards for babies? They can't read." Like, dumb baby, which is also kind of how he acts in that skit.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you don't know my life. Like, how do you know that I was a piece of shit? It's just like,
you
can't
I've
read.
Changed.
You can't read. Anyways, I had a good time with this. I don't know if I have much else to say besides the stuff of like, remember that one skit?
I love a top 3 skit for me is when the hot dog steals all the clothes, where the hot dog car crashes into the store and they're like, the driver got out.
Done that.
And it's the guy in the hot dog costume, and he's like, you don't even know my name because we're all looking at phones. You don't smile anymore. Instead, you send an emoji. As he's talking, he's stealing every single thing in the store. It's a menswear store. He's just grabbing things indiscriminately, regardless of size, which he's not going to wear because he's dressed as a hot dog.
Right, yeah. I mean,
love
maybe
the
it was
hot dog.
laundry day and that's all he had, right? That's why he's stealing things.
Before we depart, I want to ask about the interstitials, the little bits of color and music that would play in between sketches.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think about those? Anything?
I don't know if I have anything profound. I think it's a good like end of chapter on to the next skit thing. I
think a show like this needs, and a show as frantic as this in particular needs a very neutral interstitial to sort of cleanse your palate and bring you back to center before another instance of Bart Harley Jarvis, the bad boy baby. And it's just abstract like colors and geometric shapes and like old like doo-wop and like soul pop music from decades and decades ago. Yeah. It's very pleasant. It's almost so pleasant that it feels like if an alien came to Earth and abducted a human and is like, we need to calm the human down. What are the base elements of things humans like? They would
color,
give us
pattern, shape, and music.
Right. And like old doo-wops going, come on, give me that love you got, baby, baby, baby. It's just that. It is like, and they're not wrong. It is like basic human lullabies in a way I don't think we think about.
I wouldn't call this show offensive, but these interstitials are so inoffensive,
Right.
right? That it
It's
like
almost comical, yeah.
yeah, it is the palate cleanser. It is the like, okay, now I'm gonna kind of sniff some coffee beans instead of this perfume. Yeah, it's just this interstitial to be like, okay, next beat, here we go. Which I similar to what I said earlier, where like having a certain character come back might help tie an episode or a season to get together. I think that's what these interstitials help to do, right? It does give a certain rhythmic tone to it, that I think helps. So, last thing I will say, this is kind of perfect timing. Have you ever like watched something and it has been like, it's been a like, oh, that's where that meme comes from,
Mhm.
kind of thing, but or like maybe you haven't seen the meme, but like a meme is used and you're like, I know where
Yes.
that meme is from now, right?
Right, right. What was
um
yours?
so there was so that the F1 podcast that I listened to, Shift F1, when they post their episodes, they always post some kind of random picture with it. It's like tangentially related, and
Mhm.
apparently at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, someone was talking about like, well, we have upgrades for the car, but we don't want to bring them in yet. We might have them next week. So I don't know. Our car's not where we want it to be yet. And so they posted the picture of that one older guy in the skit who was like, does anyone have good car ideas? And it was just him. And I
Stinky.
was like, I get that. I know what they're
I
talking about now.
I know I must have heard somebody reference the driving crooner. Something about that was very familiar to me. A couple years ago on Blank Check, they did a
Mhm.
series on Stanley Kubrick. Blank Check, the podcast about directors' filmographies. And in the episode on The Shining, they talk about how now that they've seen I Think You Should Leave, this is all Jack Nicholson's performance reminds them of. That it feels like a Tim Robinson sketch.
No, you don't understand. This shirt's only fit me and my style.
All all work and no play makes Dan a dull flash. And they remark that for both cases, what you see is so big out of this performance, but the actor still has a way of portraying that that is still very easily within their range and they can go there at any time.
Mhm.
And so it's big, but it never breaks anything.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I finally saw the trailer to the upcoming movie Friendship. When I went to the movies recently, I think it played before Warfare is where I
Oh,
saw it,
that
which is an
makes sense.
interesting, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, great trailer. It looks like a thriller about
Yes.
this guy who like seems to get in good with this group of guys. It turns out it was just like a weekend thing, and they're like, we don't know you, like you can't hang with us, like we need to go our separate ways, dude. But like all of the testimonials are like, funniest movie I've ever seen, incredibly
Right.
hilarious, right? And it's like,
Which
this is so wild because it looks like a thriller, but it's a comedy. It's just wild. And that like having seen that and then going back to then see Tim Robinson, who's in that movie. It's him and Paul Rudd in that movie. But then to go back and see him in this show is like, yeah, I can see like
right.
some of this stuff being translated into that movie. Some of the things that are happening in there, and the awkwardness, the absurdity of some of the things that
Mm,
he will say or will happen, or the
mm,
like lengths that he will go to commit to some kind of bit or joke that
mm.
the rest of them doesn't see him a part of, right? Like, you're not a member of the group here. You're not one of the boys, right? um, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that movie now. That was a great trailer.
I I like that it feels like the next logical progression and escalation of what this show has been, which is awkward social situations where somebody maybe doesn't behave correctly in a small way or in a big way. And it's about how things spiral out from there. And if you look at this as part of a larger patchwork of that person's life that may be darker and may be sadder,
Mhm.
there is real power to the darkness of things like
Yeah.
seeming inherent violence that will be part of friendship, or like the very ambiguous, abstract self harm illusions in Karl Havoc.
Yeah.
But picking them out and looking at them outside of any context, it is like you experience one downfall and then you think that's the end of your life. It's like Karl Havoc, you can tear the makeup off or you can like push trays around for 30 minutes and then tear the makeup off. Carmine Laguzio, you have so much to live for. Just knock over a tray and then you'll be
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. I don't know if there's any. I don't think a season 4 of this show is coming. I don't know if that was because of the strike and this movie or stuff like that. Maybe there will be a season 4 coming down the road. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
this is something that because it does not have to be timely in any way, it is pretty
And
timeless.
it's
You can return
yeah,
to it at any point in the future. And as time goes on, I look forward to seeing as these people age, what social situations have they come across like in their 50s that they have
yeah.
not encountered.
Yeah, and so it looks like even with COVID, a new season of this basically came out every 2 years. So even later this year, like late summer, early fall, we
Yeah.
could get a season 4 of this, because I doubt these sketches take that much to film or produce, right? Like
We wouldn't
they all
know.
seemed pretty cheap to make, not in a negative
Uh,
sense, but like
yeah,
I feel
they
like
only
if they
cost as
wanted to
much as
spin
they
up,
need to cost.
right, if they wanted to spin up a season 4, I feel like they could do so pretty quickly. um but yeah, that is I Think You Should Leave. Had a good time with that one, even though I
I
would
did.
still ultimately say not a show for me. I'm not out there looking
I
for like, I liked this one. What other ones would I enjoy?
No,
But we
you're
will
going
get to
back to your Korean
recommendations.
crime
But
dramas.
I sure am. I sure
This has
am.
changed nothing in your life.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm a man who knows what I like.
I'm happy we tried this, though. I think we
Yeah,
did get an interesting conversation out of something without a standard narrative to it.
yeah.
It's a good
Bet you didn't
experiment.
have comparing I Think You Should Leave with Junji Ito on your
No.
your bingo card. Um, but yeah, speaking of bingo, let's pull our bingo cards on screen here so we can get into our review show bingo. Uh, we didn't get it, though. I think this would have been a great show to have a
Yeah.
fight in the rain. Um,
Yeah.
would have been awesome. Did we get a sassy grandparent?
Oh,
I wouldn't say the
not
one that drove the one guy home was sassy. I don't know if there
no.
was.
We have some terrific old guys, including what must have been one of Fred Willard's final roles as the
Mm.
guy playing the goofy piano at the funeral in like the first episode or two.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to a legend. There's a lot of things that the show gets close to. Like I definitely have an awards ceremony that I can
Okay.
cross
Okay.
off.
I have a rubber suit
Um,
monster. How do we feel about that for the thing that like get this doggy door and it's a
no,
thing
it's
here?
we weren't talking because I have puppet on mine,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not quite sure exactly what that was. But I
Paper
know
mache
when we say
mess.
rubber suit monster, we meant, like, that's a man playing Godzilla, stomping around a 2-foot city. We
Yeah.
know that.
Um, no nosy neighbors.
Crash I don't know
No
if
Stumpsy.
anybody really crashes a fancy party.
I I don't think so. Did we
Did
get a
any actors
tug of war? Like where it
No.
results and they break something? No,
I don't think any actors played themselves on this show, did they?
I don't think so.
I don't think that's the story of the real Paul Walter Hauser, but I could be proven wrong. Nosy neighbor. I don't know if we've got anybody who's necessarily nosy. We have belligerent neighbor.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't
I
think I got anything.
I don't know if I so much of kooky office lady for the woman who keeps trying to tell jokes about how Santa came and brought early and brought that new printer. Um, hot new toy? No, there is a hot new toy. There's the toy commercial for the toy you can only use if you weigh like 60 pounds because if you weigh
Yes.
59 pounds, it emits a toxic gas. And people like little girls 59 pounds too weak. Little girls of 60 pounds
Yeah.
strong enough to have the toy.
Yep. That's
I
a
don't
good
even
one.
remember like Tammy
I forgot
Crabs a
about
lot or
that one.
something.
Yeah.
Um, we should have had a giant check. We
I think that's
died
about it.
from eating, like, the receipt with poop on it, but that's not poison.
Yeah, no. I think that's it.
Not bad.
Not bad. Well, bad for me since I didn't get anything. But you got one. You got the hot new toy. So
In the
good.
awards ceremony.
Yeah, good stuff with that. Melissa, let's get into recommendations. If people enjoyed this, what else might they enjoy?
On episode 200 of the review show, we talked about a TV show called Review.
Yep, I knew this one
Review
would
with
come
Forrest
up.
McNeil. Thank you. I'm happy it is known. This is a fictional scripted show about a fictional TV host named Forrest McNeil who hosts a show called Review, wherein he reviews life experiences and rates them on a scale of 1 to 5 stars. Somebody can write into his show and be like, Forrest, I'm scared to go whitewater rafting. Go whitewater rafting and review it for me, please. Tell me if I'm missing anything. So he'll do sort of thrilling things or dangerous things,
Or like,
but
hey, I've never left my wife. You should leave your wife and write a review.
I'm considering divorce.
Right,
Will
yeah.
you get divorced and review divorce for me and tell me if it's worth it? And he has to do everything that anybody asks him to do. He has a code, he has a credence here. And so you watch this sweet, loving man divorce his wife and he can't tell her why. You watch him destroy his life, even things that seem innocuous.
Yeah.
Like, Forrest, please review eating 20 pancakes. He's decimated. He's just like and over as the show goes on, this is one of the most rewarding watches for a show that
Yes.
I'd like seen some of. I was so happy we sat down and finished this thing because the
Yeah.
arc of the thing over the whole series is intense.
If you like the idea of these sketches but do want more of a narrative
Yes.
through line, this is it. Go watch
Review is
Yeah.
Review is the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
There is a movie we have not watched on the show, but maybe later this year we will, because I want us to watch something from director Paul Thomas Anderson. We haven't yet picked out what that is. Perhaps we'll pick Punch Drunk Love. This is a romantic comedy from the early 2000s. romantic dramedy. It's dramatic enough that it was noteworthy that it starred Adam Sandler because it was like the most dramatic thing he had done till that point in his life. And he plays a kind of lonely, maladjusted man who finds love for the first time.
Okay.
That's the basic premise of it, but there's all these weird decorative elements around that. Like how he has a business selling custom toilet plungers. He wears the exact same suit every day. He finds a tiny piano on the ground. He has 6 sisters who all make fun of him. There's a scene where he goes on a date and he gets so angry about, like, remembering something his sisters said that he goes in the bathroom and he destroys the bathroom. He just throws an absolute fit and tears it apart, and then he tries to go back to the table and continue his date like normal, and the waiter comes over to him like, "Sir, we know that was you who destroyed the bathroom." It's really funny, but also such a sincere, affecting romance.
Hmm.
This is a really special one. When I describe this movie, it doesn't sound real. It's amazing that all of these elements fit within the tight, like, 93 minutes that it is. He has this whole scheme where he buys Healthy Choice puddings so that he can trade in the pudding tops and get frequent flyer miles. He gets into an argument with Philip Seymour Hoffman, who plays a mattress salesman running a phone sex line.
All right.
This is maybe we will watch this one because I just need you to watch this and know that this movie is real. And I'm not making any of this up. Last year, I saw a movie called The 4:30 Movie. This is the latest film from Kevin Smith, who's a director I know more by reputation, and I haven't seen so many of his films with my own eyes yet. I just know him through osmosis.
Sure.
The 4:30 Movie is a very personal little movie about 3 kids in the 80s who love movies and just spend all day sneaking in from movie to movie at their local theater. And it does have a fairly a surprisingly sincere, like, love story to it about one of the boys has a crush on this girl who he invites to go see the 4:30 movie with them, and his buddies, like, don't take it well. They're like, "We thought this was our thing. Now you're inviting this girl, like, you're breaking up the friend group."
You'll never
But
hang out
as
with us
part of this
again because you're going to spend all your time with her.
right. Relatable things.
Sure.
Surely
Yeah.
we've been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But as part of this movie, you get so many gags about the fake movies that they're watching at the theater and the fake trailers and the fake posters. And I bring it up specifically because Sam Richardson is in this movie,
Yeah.
one of the star performers of I Think You Should Leave. And he plays a pro wrestler who one of the kids admires. And he's this very tough soldier man. I'm here to kick ass. It's just very funny to see him in that mode. He's really good. Uh, there's another sketch show on Netflix. I think this one only lasted 1 season called Auntie Donna's Big Old House of Fun.
Interesting.
This
Haven't heard
is
of it.
this is from an Australian sketch team called Auntie Donna. It's these 3 guys, and this is a deeply silly show. Like, not absurd, but, like, silly.
Sure.
And in the show, these 3 guys live in a house together. And there's things like when they open the door, the sound effect that plays is one of them saying, "Creak?" The door slams and they say, "Slam." And if it's 3 guys in a scene, the 3 guys, and then, like, the mailman knocks on the door or whatever, and they open the door, and then it's one of the 3 actors playing the mailman, they'll cut back to whatever guy that actor is, and he's just been replaced by a mannequin wearing his clothes. Like, there's only the 3 of them at any time.
That's funny.
Ed Helms is one of the producers of the show, and, like, within the narrative of the show, he's friends with these guys.
Mhm.
And, like, episodes into this, they're talking to him and they address him by name, and he's like, "Guys, my name's Egg. You've been saying it wrong this whole time. My name's not Ed. My name is Egg Helms."
Egg Helms.
I have never seen as much as I should have of Tim and Eric, awesome show, great job, but this watching I Think You Should Leave made me wanna watch more of that.
Sure. Yeah.
All I really know is Celery Man.
Okay. I know
You
nothing
know that
about
one.
all. I know
No,
nothing about this entire world of sketch
you know
comedy.
you don't know computer generate a nude tain?
I don't think so.
Oh, this is you've seen it. This is when Paul Rudd he's, like, in a void, and he walks to his computer, and he's drinking a coffee, and he tells his computer to pull up various programs, and every program is just another Paul Rudd dancing around. I'm gonna send you Celery Man. Watch
Okay.
it. Comedy Bang Bang. I'm repping the shirt I got on tour
One of your
last year.
favorites, yeah?
One of my very, very favorite podcasts. It was also a TV show for a couple years,
Oh,
and
wow.
the TV show took the format of a talk show where so the podcast is Scott Aukerman, the host, will often have a celebrity guest on, usually playing themselves, and then a number of other comedians on improvising as various fictional characters or pretending to be real people. But it's all really absurd. This show has been running for like 15 years, like nearly 1,000 episodes, and it has like a long, accurate memory. So there's actors who have come back playing the same characters for years now, and they will get lore that is added on by every other character that they are in an episode with. And there's deep mythology to this thing. And they commit as soon as anybody says anything, they're like, well, that's canon now, and we have to live with that, and we have to move forward from there. And the TV show is structured more like a traditional talk show
Mhm.
with a real celebrity guest and still like improvised characters coming on and interacting with them, but a lot more like sketchy elements around that, like fake commercials and B plots and things like that. I recommend both. At the
Cool.
end of every calendar year, Comedy Bang Bang puts out best of episodes. Those are probably the best place to start.
Cool.
Or you can go on YouTube, look up some good clips. I recommend Memphis, Kansas Breeze or Leo Carpazzi presents The Monster Fuck. Have I
Yep.
ever told you about The Monster Fuck?
I don't know, you may have mentioned it. I don't know if you've ever
I
actually showed it to me.
I know I showed you Memphis, Kansas Breeze because
Yes.
it's the
Yeah.
song about the human skin truck baby that I brought
Yep.
up when we watched Titan. So every whenever there's a Halloween episode, which there isn't one every year consistently, but when there is one, there's a guy Nick Weiger comes on playing a guy named Leo Carpazzi, who's said to have written the original Monster Mash song, but he's like, they changed it. I'm here to sing my original lyrics. And he starts singing the song, and it's the full music and backing track of the Monster Mash. And it starts like the normal Monster Mash, but then it turns into a song called The Monster Fuck, where the monsters just fuck each other.
They did the
And
fuck.
they did the monster fuck. The monster fuck. I'm not kidding. That is entirely what it is. It's such a piece of art. And every time he comes back, he's like, I have a different song now. And then he sings the exact same thing. Or like he'll throw in one, he'll like in the middle of the chorus
Change
shout,
one line.
Monster fuck, part 2, Monster fuck, Christmas edition.
Remix.
Every time he fakes out Scott Aukerman, like, no, I've got something different. I have a new original song. And every time it's the same thing again. There's another improv comedy podcast named Super Ego that I love very much. This is the format of this show is that it's these guys who will come up with a specific situation and riff on it, and then they will edit it down almost into something like a sketch. So they'll add
Hmm.
like sound effects and music and voice modulation and things like that. I'll send Kyle, I'm going to send you so many videos tonight.
Okay.
One sketch in particular that I think you should leave made me think of is the Gorsock family house murders tour.
All right. I have no idea what any of this stuff is.
I'll find something and send it to you. I love Too Many Cooks,
Mhm.
the Adult Swim infomercial of the cursed endless sitcom opening themes, Too Many Cooks. If Too Many Cooks can be considered a film, it's one of my favorite films of the 21st century. And finally, there's a YouTube video called Baby Bullet that's just the infomercial for the Baby Bullet. You know the Magic Bullet blender? Well, they
Yeah.
made one called the Baby Bullet that's smaller and it's supposed to blend things into baby food. And it's just the whole infomercial for the Baby Bullet in black and white, slowed down so that everybody's talking like
The
this
baby
with
bullet.
this really creepy Lavender Town music played over it. And the baby bullet has a little face on it, and they give the face red glowing eyes, and sometimes it'll just zoom into the baby bullet and freeze frame, and it captions it,
Oh no.
Frindle Babin, missing since 2007.
These were all the kids that was on the baby of the year competition, and
It's like, what if you tried to turn an infomercial into a creepy pasta and
right.
absolutely failed? That's Baby Bullet. That's the end.
Interesting.
Kyle, what do
All
you
right.
have?
There you go. I have a few things. Number one, Nichijou. This is an anime that I really enjoy. One of the funniest animes I have seen. It's not a sketch show in the way that this was a sketch show, but it is about a town, and there are different characters within the town, and you will check in on them and what they are up to and the absurd things that are happening to them. So in that sense, it kind of ends up being a kind of sketch show. But they do all these really funny sketches. Like there's one about a girl who gets detention and has to stand outside in the hall while the rest of the class is out there learning. And while she's waiting in the hall, she sees the principal of the school dressed in a bulletproof jacket wrestling a dare out in the like courtyard, and it's so absurd to her that she like can't speak and doesn't know what to say and like can't get anyone else to like look and be like, is this actually happening? And so then she just like can't tell anyone that she saw this just wild thing happen. So it's stuff like that. I thought that one is hilarious. It often also touches on social anxiety of like, man, we should try that hot new coffee shop that everyone likes. And then you go in and don't know how to order anything because it's not small, medium, and large. It's like venti and whatever else that Starbucks that they named. And she's just like, oh, I don't know how to operate this menu. Stuff like that. So I would say go check out Nichijou. That's a great one. Kinds of Kindness. If you want to take the idea of a like sketch comedy and turn it into a movie, I feel like you basically get Kinds of Kindness. It is a movie with like 4 short stories, I think 5, maybe at the most. But it's most of the same actors in every skit, and it's a new story every little bit that they do, and they're always just kind of these absurd, if not like really understated comedic skits. Even if like the overtone of the skit is dramatic and serious, like the underpinnings is like, this is absurd, this is hilarious. If you guys saw the trailer, it's the one of Emma Stone in that suit just dancing absurdly.
A dance for the ages.
Yeah, go check out that one. That one's wild. I grew up on Robot Chicken. Right? That's a sketch comedy. That's one that I enjoyed. I think it is maybe. I don't Well, I was about to say it was maybe a little more off-putting than this show, but I actually don't think so.
They're off-putting in very
A
different
different
ways.
way.
And
Yes.
Robot
Yeah, yeah,
Chicken
yeah.
is like almost entirely pop culture parody.
Yeah. They make it with stop motion, and so it's action figures of superheroes, actors, stuff like that, just kind of whatever action figures they can find, and there's always some really really funny stuff in there. But yeah, that's kind of my knowledge and extent of sketch comedy shows. The only other one I will mention, not one that I really watched, but I did watch one skit. This was Derek Comedy on YouTube. This is the one. This is the
Oh,
sketch comedy troupe that Childish Gambino was a part of before he got
yeah.
famous. Before he became Childish Gambino.
I remember watching Mystery Team. Is that the movie that they made together where
I
it's
think so.
basically like a Scooby-Doo, and Encyclopedia Brown, a kid detective?
Something like that. Yeah, I just remember this one sketch of him being like, my name is Derek, I like to skateboard, and he thinks he's so cool, and then he poops his pants and he's like, no, I didn't poop my pants, I like to skateboard, and see, I'm still skateboard. It is something like that, but just real dumb stuff is what I remember
Right.
it being. So those are my recommendations for this one here. So Melissa, what are we going to be talking about next episode?
Next time, you are allowing me a special treat. We are going to watch The X-Files Fight the Future. This is the movie from 1997 or 1998 that was based on the X-Files TV series. This is one of my very favorite shows. You have seen only a
Bits and
handful of
pieces.
episodes of
Yeah.
it, and, like, I showed you a couple years ago on, like,
Yeah.
some experimental Patreon episodes, so we've never brought X-Files to the review show proper.
Right.
Mostly because it's a show from the 90s when the seasons were, like, 22 episodes long, and the show's, like, 9 seasons long in its initial Fox run. It's
Yeah.
just sorta long and cumbersome. So I'm like, "Let's watch the movie." The movie, I think it's a good summertime movie. It is a hot, hot movie. So I'm like, we're getting towards
Okay.
summer.
Yeah.
Let's kick it off with this. It's full of cornfields.
Great. It's a corny movie.
It
Thanks,
is a
Melissa.
corny movie. Kyle, I'm not kidding. The cornfields are the third star. It's David Duchovny, Gillian Anderson, and cornfields. I think it stands on its own, and I'm very interested to see what you think about it, having only cursory knowledge of the show while
Yeah.
I explain everything to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed it from my perspective. I grew up when X Files was big. Never really got into it. I saw bits and pieces growing up. We do have that Patreon bonus episode of the review show in which you showed me a handful of episodes that were from the same director, if I'm not
From the
mistaken.
same writer. It was all the Darren Morgan episodes.
Thank you. Yeah. So that is up on our Patreon. If you're at the $3 tier and above, you can go to patreon.com/the Whatnauts and check that out. But yeah, I just have like cultural osmosis of X-Files things.
Mhm.
Different memes I've seen, different episodes I've seen, stuff I know there's a cigarette man in there, but that's it. That's all I know.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Important
so
character.
I would love to check this out. I know you enjoy this one a lot, so it'll be interesting to see my perspective, like not having watched the show, coming into this as one of my first like let me sit down and watch an
Yeah.
X-Files thing here.
I think it'll offer you a lot as a sci-fi fan,
Mhm.
and there's a familiar face from Lost in it. You'll like
Awesome.
those parts for sure.
Good stuff. Good stuff indeed. Well, yeah. Do you know by chance if this is streaming anywhere? Or can we
Oh,
rent it someplace?
I I don't know. I own the DVD. I didn't
Oh.
even Google it. The X-Files movie. It's subtitled Fight the Future, like that's what'll appear on the thumbnail and on the poster. But I think the movie, if you Google it, it's just called The X-Files. It is from
Gotcha.
1998.
Hack the planet, fight the
Um,
future. You know what they say.
Looks like it is a $4 rental. Sorry, Kyle.
Oh,
Try
that's
your
fine.
local library.
That is a-okay. I don't mind renting. Yeah, cool. That is what we will be up to for next episode. So be excited for that, por favor. That being said, Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
Email me, please. Old-fashioned way. Just email me at yourhostmelissa@gmail.com. Do
Send her
you
all
know
of
about the
your
time?
X-Files experiences.
Right. Tell me your X-Files memories or your favorite stories of actors almost having a meltdown because they're covered in too many prosthetics.
Indeed. You guys can find me at Yo Kyle Springer. If you would like to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at thewhatnauts.com on Blue Sky. We are also over on Threads. So please go like, share, and subscribe. You guys know the deal with that. If you're watching this on YouTube, go check out more videos over there on that side of the screen. That would help us out a ton as well. And yeah, this has been number 316 of the Whatnauts Review Show. We'll see you next time. Bye.